Hi everyone, I'm Amy and I'm here again for another no feet practice, focusing on core and hips and upper body strength, specifically for those who might be dealing with a foot or ankle injury like I am these next several weeks, who knows? But this is good for anybody. So we're going to just go ahead and get started. Today, I want to talk about the psoas muscle. The psoas is one of the longest muscles in the body. It runs from just underneath the ribs on either side of the spine, attaching to the sides of the vertebrae, all the way down through the lower back to about L4, L5 here. And then it comes across the front of the hip bones to the inner thigh muscle. So if I turn my leg in or out, that has to do with my psoas coordination and strength. Because the psoas is the longest running muscle in the body, we have to think about it in two locations. We have to think about the upper psoas and how it relates to the diaphragm and the rib cage. So when we shift our ribs forward, we're actually tightening the top of our psoas. Or if we grip our hips and kind of tuck our hips under, then we're tightening the lower part of the psoas. And we'll differentiate as we go along through our workout. I want to show you a couple pictures. Here's a simple picture of the psoas, how it connects to the sides of the spine right at the 12th rib, the height of your 12th rib. It connects all the way through your lower back. So sometimes if you have lower back issues, it's because of your psoas. And then it comes forward along either side of the inner pelvis and connects at the top of your thigh. So there's that picture. And here's a picture of how the psoas muscles interdigitate or interweave with the diaphragm. That's our breathing muscle. When we breathe, that dome-like structure there in the rib cage is going to pump up and down, massaging the top of our psoas. And finally, here's a picture of how the psoas connects above to the diaphragm and below into our leg. So this is how you might perceive the relationship of our core, the psoas is part of our core, to our upper body through the breathing muscle, eventually our upper limbs, and then downward into the legs, how it integrates upper and lower. When we get injured, our psoas is one of the first muscles to clamp down and hold us to feel safe. With injury, we don't always feel safe. Even if you know you are on a cellular level, sometimes that's what happens as we clench. So this workout today is for us to really lengthen and soften our psoas into safety and then strengthen it in a functional way. So let's come down to our mats. So my injured foot, I am going to keep up like I've been doing. You can put both feet flat on the floor if you don't have that situation. And I'm just going to lengthen the other leg out on the mat. I'm going to take a moment here just to visualize the length of the psoas. So you just saw the picture. Can you feel it in your body now? Maybe putting a hand or two on, if you're on your right leg, the right side of the spine, right side of the midline, just under the ribs, and breathe there. And then just rock your thigh open and close, turning the toes out and in. And that's the lower part of our psoas, right? Because that inner thigh, as it turns out or turns in, when we turn it out, we're shortening our psoas. We're creating a shorter distance from the inner thigh to the top of the psoas under the ribs. If we rotate that thigh in and downward toward the floor, you might feel that it's creating more length between the bottom ribs and that inner thigh. So that means our psoas is getting full length here. Once you've done that a few times, go ahead and keep it turned in. So our leg is parallel, but we're thinking about that inner thigh kind of spiraling toward the floor. Take another breath. Notice, is anything wanting to tighten here? Are your ribs hiking up off the ground? See if you can relax them. And if you can't, that's totally normal. Put your other arm underneath those ribs and just see if you can relax your ribs on top of that arm. This is so key for the upper psoas support. Then see with your arm there, see if you can relax back and breathe. Just a gentle invitation for release. Then I'm going to take this bent knee. If yours is on the floor, you just bring it up. And I'm going to think about this psoas, right? This is a little bit shorter because the other leg is longer. This one's bent. So I'm going to take the length of this psoas and spiral it over the straight leg. Just like a spiral, a twist, a spinal twist you've done before. But instead of doing it from my back and kind of forcing my leg over from my lower back, I want to think about that integrity of my psoas. So I'm twisting the lower psoas around, but I'm keeping the upper psoas by my ribs. I'm keeping that more anchored to the ground. It doesn't have to be on the ground, but it has more relationship into its weight, weighted here, than just kind of pulling that forward with the leg. Now that means that my leg might not be on the floor, it's kind of dangling. Maybe I let my toes down, but I'm gonna just rock between the lower psoas and the upper psoas, going back and forth. My arms can be anywhere. Just notice what you did with that straight leg. Is the leg turned out? Is it relaxed? Let's see if we can internally rotate it again so we feel the right side. My right side is my lengthened side. Feel that length on that side as well. And just breathe here. Remember that the diaphragm is massaging the psoas. Coming backward and lower. The bent leg is going to straighten down to the floor. And the other leg can be bent, foot on the floor or up in the air. And I'm just going to take a moment to visualize on my left side now that lengthened psoas. Breath can be so invaluable to navigating our awareness of a particular muscle or location in the body. I'm going to rotate my thigh out and in. I'm thinking about that lower psoas getting turned out, turned in. And then I'm going to pause with that turned in. That inner thigh is rotating toward the ground. Not to an extreme amount, but enough that I feel like my toes are pointing to the ceiling when I flex my foot. Breathing here. I'm going to then come up to the upper psoas and just notice, are my ribs hiking up? If I need to, I'm going to bring that hand underneath. If I don't, I'm just going to breathe. And either way, I'm going to breathe into these ribs, specifically the back ribs, where the psoas is connected, right? The psoas is connected to the spine, not the front ribs. So I'm going to breathe backward. And then we're going to take that bent knee. I'm going to think of that psoas spiraling around the lengthened side. My lower psoas comes across with my foot, with my leg, and the upper psoas is trying to rotate away from that. So I'm creating a twist. Again, not from hiking my ribs or my lower back into the direction of my leg. I don't want to do that. That's cutting me off. That's cutting my core off. So instead of that, thinking of the two ends, like a dish rag, if you were going to spiral a dish rag, right? It doesn't have to be far for it to really be beneficial. Breathing here. I'm going to reassert that length in my standing or my straight leg. And when you're ready, come back. And then I'm going to bring both legs down to the floor. And I'm just going to fold one leg in. So I'm going to start with my left leg. It doesn't matter which one you want to start with. I'll say left. And bring it back down. So I'm standing on two legs here. When I stand on two legs, do my ribs want to pop out? Yeah, a little bit. I'm going to see if I can bring that upper psoas into the spine again. And I'm also noticing if my legs want to flop open. I'm going to rotate them parallel, and I feel a little stretch in that lower psoas from the hip bones into my inner thighs. So notice that. I'm going to keep with that left leg. I'm going to bend and then stand on it, right? And I can't stand on this leg in reality. So this is excellent work for my psoas when I can't weight bear on the foot. Good. One more. Straighten that leg, and then we're going to bring the other leg in, stand on it, bend it, stand on it. So this is shortening and lengthening lower psoas while the upper psoas does not shorten, right? I'm not trying to hike up here. Two more. Last one. Keep the feet long, the legs long, and we're going to reach the arms up to the ceiling. We did this in the video I did right before this one, so you can take a look. We did a lot of upper body. We're just going to review a little bit of that today. So I'm going to think about rolling my collarbones up as my arms come up, and I'm just going to let my lungs rest, right? My lungs rest on the floor. So otherwise I'd be doing something like this, a little arching in my upper back, and my psoas would be shortening there. So again, feeling that length of the lungs, arms come up for 2. I'm keeping that parallel work in my legs, so my psoas are both staying long. 3 and 4. And then I'm going to rotate palms to face each other, bend the elbows like I'm hugging a big beach ball. I'm going to open the arms, so like I'm hugging an even bigger beach ball, and then bring them back together. So breathing as you go. 3, 4, and one more. Then from here, keeping the elbows bent, my kind of soft, billowy arms, I'm going to circle up and around, out to the sides, and come back around. My fingers are reaching into space, but I'm not straightening my elbows. And I'm letting my armpits be open without taking my psoas into that position. Reverse. Circle the arms the other way. I'm just noticing how my right leg really wants to turn out. So my right psoas does not love this position. Going to keep breathing through it and gently reminding it. And then let the arms come back down to the floor. Bend your knees and bring the legs into table. Okay, feet up off the floor. I'm going to start with a little wiggle of my toes. Can you wiggle your pinky toe specifically? Your fourth toe? Third? Where's the third? Second and big toe. And then just little gentle ankle circles, or I'm just flexing one, pointing the other. You can do kind of what feels good. My ankle is feeling better and better each day with just a teeny bit of circling or flexing, extending. I don't do a lot, just enough. When I feel it kind of get sore or tender, I stop. So this is a moment for that. So now we're going to up the challenge to our psoas. Again, for right now, we're keeping that upper psoas anchored to the spine, so it's not lifting off the ground. It doesn't mean that I'm taking these front ribs and I'm squeezing them down. That is not the same as lengthening my psoas. You can see what it does to my neck. Instead, remember our breathing from last time. As you inhale, you can expand the whole body, both vertically and horizontally. And as you exhale, feel your pelvic floor draw in, your belly sink back towards your spine, and then your neck lengthens out of that. And that's enough of a contraction to not warrant this kind of squeeze in the ribs. It's below the ribs. Okay? Then, adding on to this challenge, we're going to lengthen one leg out and in for 2. Now you're going to feel those ribs want to come off. Last one, we're going to switch legs. But you're going to keep lengthening through the neck, keep feeling the belly sinking in, and keep dropping those ribs. Last time. Next, we're going to extend the leg out, lower it down, and bring it in. Switch legs, out, lower it down, and bring it in. We go out and in. Now the down part is the length of the psoas, but with a contraction. It's still working here because I'm not dropping it, right? So we're lengthening as we lower, we're lengthening as we come up. One more time, each side. Excellent, everybody. I'm sure you're doing great. Take a deep breath. So both legs are going to extend out. I want to find pelvic floor, low belly, and that psoas length as I straighten both legs out and in. Exhale. And that's really fast, but you could slow it down. Exhale, find all the contraction of the deep core, and then straighten. Inhale. So the advanced is exhale, it's already engaged, and I straighten my legs. Beginner, slow it down. Take it in 2 steps. Exhale, engage the abdominals and the deep core, and then straighten the legs. Keep going at whatever pace, 4 more times. Bending in. Lower your feet down. We're going to straighten both legs out. Again, as if we're standing, we're going to find parallel legs. I'm going to find that inner spiral through my inner thigh. And I'm going to rest those back ribs on the floor. And we're going to play with one leg standing, the other leg moving. I'm going to hover my moving leg off the ground just slightly. And my right leg is my standing leg. So I want to align my inner thigh with the top of the psoas, just to the those bottom ribs, just to the right side of the spine. And I'm going to kick that leg out and in. It's not big. I'm going away from my leg and toward. And as I do this, I'm going to pick my head up for a second and just notice if my hips are twisting. That's not what we want. We want to keep the hips really the same, not twisting. So as I go out, I don't want to go too far. I want to go just as far as my psoas on the right can hold me. For 3, 2, and 1. Bring that leg down. Whew, might feel the burn. Then other side, pick that leg up. This is my treble side. So this is also my injury side. I want to keep feeling that inner thigh spiraling down toward my heel. So even though there's this inner spiral to the floor, I'm also lengthening it to my heel. Then upper psoas also in line with that inner thigh. Take the leg out and in. And I can already feel my hips wanting to twist. So keep breathing if you feel that too. It's no big deal. We're just listening to our body's limitations. And I'm going to make it a smaller out and in to accommodate the strength, the current strength of this side. For 3, for 2, and 1. Lower down. Other side, pick that leg up. Now we circle up, side, down, again, upside down. And I'm almost making like a box shape, like hitting 4 corners. And let's do that one more time and reverse your circle. So I'm making the circle pretty small so I don't move the hips. Last one, and lower down. Standing on the other leg, hover your moving leg, and here we go. And then reverse. We'll lower that down and fold your legs in. Take some circles with the thighs. Deep breath in, everybody, and out. You're going to rock yourself up or rotate yourself up to sitting and extend your legs. If it's uncomfortable to sit with your legs straight, you could bend both legs in. Find what's right for you. Either way, I want to find those parallel legs again and notice if it gets a little tight in here. That's just, again, a sign that the lower psoas might be kind of tight. So this exercise is really more for stabilizing the lower psoas and moving the upper psoas. So far, we've been doing the opposite, right? So I'm going to find the movement of my pelvis, tilting it or scooping it under, right? And so I'm already finding length in the front. And then I'm finding this curve, this upper curve or over curve here in my psoas. So this is not me sinking on it and then pushing it out and collapsing into my ribs. No, no, no. I want to feel the suctioning in of the belly and the lift within the curve up and over. My arms are forward and I'm going to rock this shape backward a few inches till I feel the tremble in my belly. Oop, there it is. And then I'm going to find a deeper up and over folding in my upper psoas to come up. If this is a lot, you put your hands under the knees and you do the same thing with a little more support. So always finding this internal lift when we come back to sitting. I want to feel that that psoas is lifting me up. I'm not lifting myself up from my back or my ribs. Try it again. Find the scoop of the pelvis. So we are mobilizing that lower psoas a little bit. And we're doing this over curve of the upper psoas and letting it roll back. Tremble and scoop to come up. One more time. So as we're rolling back, we're finding more of that psoas length. Sitting tall. Right arm is going to come up by the ears, scoop it around like a rainbow, and twist your body. I'm now in upper body twist. Right psoas is opening, left psoas is coming across. And then windmill it back around the other way. Left side, can you move your upper psoas with your arm without shifting your hips, right? No hip shift. Well, maybe a little. We add on. Take that big rainbow shape. You're rotated. Take a little roll back. We're not going far. Coming up and return. Whew. Let's do it one more time. Sweep around, rotate under. Feel that psoas moving for you. Up and around and rest. We're going to come back down to the floor. This exercise, avoid it if you have any neck or shoulder issues. We're going to come up onto our shoulders, lifting our hips up. So please don't do this if it's not right for you. You can do a variation that I'll show you too. If you're going up onto your shoulders into rollover. Then you might even put a blanket underneath your shoulders, but not underneath your head and neck, just underneath the ribs. That's another way to do it. So we're all going to start in tabletop and just rock the pelvis. 3. I'm trying not to let that get into my neck. 2 and 1. And then we're going to try these little preps. Rolling up off the mat just a little bit and down. And notice if your neck clenched. Mine did. I'm going to try not to do that next time. I am going to find the deep core as a way to get up. One more. If you're not going up onto your shoulders, you can keep playing with that and add the variation with the legs that we'll do in a second. Otherwise, let's give it a try. I'm going to find the roll and lift, pushing my arms down. I'm going to lift my hips up off the ground. I'm trying to get them up, 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 and I can put my hands underneath. And I'm just going to get my elbows to swing in as well. And I've got this support. I'm not on my neck, I'm on my shoulder blades. And I'm trying to lift my hips up off my waist. And then I'm just going to straighten and bend. You could do this on the ground with your legs. Straighten and bend. If you're up in the air, press the back of your head into the mat so there's no pressure in your neck. One more. And then one leg straightens, the other's bent, and switch. Right? So we have to feel our lower psoas lifting out of our waist, out of our hips, into our feet. Good. Now both legs straighten, and we scissor. I'm keeping my toes pointed. You can play with flex toes. And bring both legs together. And we're going to scoop out to the sides and back up to the ceiling. Sweep out. Try not to change your hips. They're not dropping when the legs open. Lift them higher. One more time. And then let the legs come overhead. Press the hands into the floor. We're going to bend the knees as we soften the psoas into the ground. Woo! And just rock side to side. Take some circles. Take a little twisting, whatever feels good. And then just let your body drop into the floor, resting. Yield all of your weight into the ground. Let your body breathe. Allow yourself to do absolutely nothing. You can stay here as long as you like. I hope that was fun for you today. It was a lot of fun for me to play with the psoas. When you're done with your workout, come back up to standing for those who can stand on 2 feet. And if you can't, you can just sit or kneel and just notice if there's a little more effortlessness in your posture. Our psoas, when it's actively working for us, it creates a sense of buoyancy and effortlessness in our posture. So I hope you enjoy. Have a great day, and I'll see you next time.